Hi everyone, how are we doing?
Hi.
Is it morning? Richard, what's it with you, right? It's 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock,
Oh, Richard, you're muted.
Hi. Hi everyone. Hi Angela, how are you again?
Hello, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah.
How are you?
Hi,
Hi,
excellent,
everybody.
excellent. Bevan,
If it's my background, it looks terrible. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
that's okay, man.
So I never use Zoom, as you can clearly see. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Hi Darren. I was just telling Nicole, I did this thing with Gemini, and I was doing a query on it for I was doing a query for a client, and then later on I was doing research for this meeting that I was having with a $1 billion company that I was in final stages of negotiation. And Gemini said, "Oh, it's really amazing, yeah, right? This company you're doing research on before resells their product through the the big company." And I was like, "Oh, that's incredible. How does it work? What's going on?" And then it got too good to be true. And so then I put a prompt into Gemini. I went, "You're lying to me, aren't you?" And it went, "Yeah, but it's really good if they were." Until he said that, it said it was really good if they were. Right? I was like, "What's that?" Right?
Well, at least it was honest when you asked, but yeah.
So I can't talk. What? Okay, but I can't. I can't. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. I think my son plays games, and if there's too much downloading going on, it ruins his game. Yeah, right. So, but he's actually checking to see it because he's downloading something if it's causing me a problem or not. Yeah. So that's nice, right? It's not the other way around.
I
Oh,
thought I
good.
was right. It was the other way around. Yeah.
It's really funny, isn't it? In Zoom, before, right? If someone came along and your kids came along or the dog came, you would "Shh, go away, all right." Now it's yeah, whatever. You can
It's
yeah,
life. It's what
and then
we
and
all
then like
had.
I like if Callum wants to get involved with me when I'm doing that, I make him talk to the people that are on the screen as well and say hello to them. Yeah, that's the deal here, right? So
It's a learning experience, Fraser.
exactly right. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, so cool, excellent. So maybe we get going, yeah. So
Yeah,
and then yeah, cool.
perfect. Thanks, Fraser. Hi,
Brilliant.
everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. I think a few names are familiar from our past webinars, so just thank you so much for joining us for our final webinar in the series of 1,000 Steps. Before we get started, I'll introduce myself. My name is Nicole Scott. I'm the Chamber Manager at West Lothian Chamber of Commerce, and I've been working with Fraser and the team at 1,000 Steps with this series, so really looking forward to hearing all about it and implementing some things at the Chamber as well. So Fraser will be hosting today's session, and Fraser is the founder of 1,000 Steps, and they are a sales consultancy that helps businesses build stronger pipelines and create predictable, sustainable growth through smarter outbound sales. And the Chamber ourselves have experienced that firsthand, and we've been working with the team for the better part of half a year now, and
Yeah.
really seen that support our own business and our lead generation, and just bringing different conversations to. Oh,
Oh,
sorry, I've
you
got
got
a little notification. There you
there we
go.
go.
Sorry about that. Hopefully we're seeing me. But yeah, we've been working with 1,000 Steps for the better part of a half a year on our own lead generation and just getting different conversations coming to the table and really seeing how impactful that has been for us. We are a very small team, so any kind of support we can get like that is just makes a huge difference. And 1,000 Steps also work with companies like CivTech and Scottish Government. So really, they know what they're talking about and have feet on the ground doing it as we speak.
Mm.
Um, so today's webinar really is about leveraging technology and without losing that human touch. And I think we can all agree that technology has changed sales slightly, but we feel it's not about replacing it, but about enabling it to have
Mm.
deeper conversations, deeper relationship with our clients. So that will what we'll be focusing on today. But before I get started, I'll just give you a little bit of background on Fraser, if that is okay. So
Yep.
after facing a few challenges in his early sales career, Fraser realised that success wasn't always about natural talent. It's about having the right process, mindset and consistency. And that lesson became the foundation of how he helps businesses today, which we've seen firsthand. Today, Fraser works with organisations like ourselves and the couple that I've mentioned, but also across a range of industries, helping them combine technology, data, and genuine human connection to generate better conversations around their business. So I really would like you all to join me in a warm welcome to welcome Fraser to the session, and I'll pass over to you to get started.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you for the introduction. That's really cool again. So you're too nice. So I'm from Aberdeen and I live in Singapore. And like to say that Nicole was saying, my passion in life is how do you help businesses grow, scale, and ultimately our objective is to make money. So how do you make money? We've had these 3 sessions. One was about sales process, one was about lead generation, and then today's about technology. And before I start, in the chat, let me ask a question, right? Who's using AI? Everybody using AI? Is anybody not using it? Nobody's going to admit that, right? Everybody using AI, put in the chat. How are you using it? Tell me how you're using AI from a sales point of view. Yeah. Oh, thumbs up is good, Neil. How are you guys using it at the moment? Only a little bit. Cool. Yep, Susan, I knew you would be. Quick, mostly of testing and stuff like that. Is anybody using it as part of their sales and to help them develop revenue? Lead generation, good. Nice. Cool. Excellent. Right. So there's lots going on there. So we are all actually using we're using it. Everyone's using AI. I suppose the question is how far have we evolved down the road where we've revamped the process so the AI is at the heart of it, right? With the fact being that if you took AI away, you wouldn't be able to do it anymore. Yeah, right? You know, I always think that's a nice sort of way to look at it. You know, because we can dabble with AI, you know, we can do a bit of research or use, like if we can use ChatGPT to create a proposal. But the problem for me is the consistency. If I'm going to use something, thanks, Joban, if we're going to use AI, we need to use it in a way that's consistent and it's going to, we can evolve it, yeah, right. But it's at the heart of what we're doing now. Don't get me wrong, right? AI doesn't. I'm of the camp that says there's going to be more jobs because of AI than losing jobs. I think there'll be a change, and I think the reason jobs are going at the moment is employers are using it as an opportunity to get rid of people. You know, to say AI is replacing them, but it's not my experience with my friends that are running pretty large businesses. Not the case. Yeah. So, today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some use cases for AI, give you some ideas around from a sales perspective. If you've got questions, just ask them as we go and I'll answer them. And you can either put your thumb up or put it in the chat or switch a video on or something and we can go from there. Yeah. So let me do a screen share here. Let me do it. And then, yeah, let me do it. Share. Can you see me in the screen? Yeah, you can. Yeah, excellent. I just do the final bit, get that to work. Let me go to here. Our business runs, there's 2 of us that are the co-founders. Look, obviously we've got some nice logos here, but we do a lot of work with really small business. I mean, I will go as small as they've just evolved a product and they want to test is the market viable or not. So we work with organizations all the way through. What's really cool at the moment, though, is it's actually easier for you as SMEs to put AI into your businesses than it is for any of these companies. Right? They can't put it in because they have to go through compliance. They have to go through so many loopholes to get it that to project manage one change is 6 months, 9 months work, yeah, right? If they're lucky. Yeah. So you actually have the opportunity to transform your businesses, as have I. Yeah. So, and I really want to put this point across. And obviously, we're focused on revenue generation within the 3 series. It's not about replacing sales. Okay, it never has been. It never will be. And I give the exception to that. We've built an avatar that coaches salespeople. That avatar is going to be able to sell simple products. So that someone's going to be able to go in and have a conversation with an avatar that's a normal conversation. So that is coming. But to be honest with you, most businesses don't have salespeople selling these low value products anyway. So something like that's going to be a good thing. As soon as you go above a certain value of sale and implication to a business when they buy it, the human and the trust is the key thing there. And so now we're in this world where trust is the commodity that defines whether someone engages with you. If they trust you and they like you, they'll interact with you. And trust being about your technical knowledge and your product. So yes, technology is going to change sales, but it's not a replacement. I really want to get that across to everybody. That is not what's happening, and that's not what I'm seeing. So let's jump across here. Why should selling change? Like, it's the thing that shocked me most in the last 12 years. And it doesn't matter if it's a small little business or a mid-sized business or a large SME or an enterprise business. The quality of how people engage with clients, for me, is staggeringly incompetent. Everyone's the same. Everyone pulls out a deck. Everybody's pitching the product. Everybody's going in to sell, right? And ultimately it's transactional. Now, obviously there's exceptions to every rule, but even if you think about yourselves, when you go and you see a client, how do I sell? How do I make revenue? That's sort of your purpose, right? And I want to. What AI is going to allow us to do is actually do a much better job and engage with our clients much more effectively. If we look at selling and we look at building a revenue channel, okay, and that's what we're talking about here. One of my passions in life is I'm part of a group called Global Scots. It's a Scottish enterprise organization. There's 1,200 of us around the world. Is we want to help Scottish companies grow and employ people. Yeah, right. We want them to increase revenue. So these traits here, these things here are things that you need to get right in your business, no matter how many, if you're one-man person or you're a 5-man company or so on and so forth. So you have to recruit the right people and have the right person doing the revenue generation. You always need lead generation working. You need opportunity management, which is pipeline management. You need account management working, which is your management of the companies you're working with and how you cross-sell, upsell, and all that stuff, and make sure they're happy. You need salespeople growing and getting better. If you're the only salesperson, you need to be growing and getting better every single day. And then you need an operations piece that sits behind the sales that makes it all work. Okay, so that's your base framework of a successful sales model. And then from a technology perspective, there's lots of stuff you can be doing, right? But these 6 things here are all relatively easy to do, okay? And I'm going to explain how we do it, when we do it, and I'm going to give you some cases, and then I'll answer some questions on it. And if you want me to show you some examples of it, I'll do that, and then we'll give you a little solution at the end that says how to assess your business, right? So again, it's AI that does it, and I'll show you how that works, and you can do it. So GTM strategy, GTM means go to market. That sits around the lead generation piece, yeah. So we can use technology for lead generation. Again, not replacing the human, but doing the grunt work. And managing databases, we can use technology. Virtual coaching, we have an avatar that coaches salespeople, and our sales team love it, right? They really love it, right? It's super interesting how it works. It sounds terrible, but it's interesting. Getting intelligence when you go to a meeting, and content creation. And I'll explain each of these in more detail, and then obviously proposal writing. So these are 6 use cases that we're using at the moment on a daily basis that is transforming. I mean, it's not all we're doing, right? But I wanted to pull out 6 scenarios to run through them with you, and give you sort of some insights into it. So let me start with our CRM, right? Our CRM is a spreadsheet with Claude sitting over it. So wrap your head around that. I don't use a CRM, right? I've been in sales since I was like 22, and I've been drummed into me CRM. Our CRM is accurate, and it's up to date, and it's clean, and it works, and our team like it, and the salespeople like it. and it's a database, and it's easy to interact with it. I was sat with Richard's here today, but I was sat with Richard going through it, and we were just fine tuning it and talking about various things. It's not we have the CRM working the way we want to work it, and instead of spending 3 hours a day doing crap, that 30 minutes a day, yeah, right? And managing data properly, you end up, instead of 5 meetings a week, you end up with 15 meetings a week. So look, as we move forward, we want to be doing more meetings, both from an account management point of view, from a new client point of view, from an ongoing nurture perspective, from a proposal perspective, from a discovery perspective. We need to be doing more of those when we're selling and using technology. It's saving us a huge amount of time, right? So what was happening before? Salespeople didn't want to spend 3 hours a day completing Salesforce or HubSpot. They were not interested, so they just didn't do it, right? So there was a worse scenario here. Instead of the 3 hours spent on that stuff, it was spent on not doing it. So we end up with no documentation. We can't manage the opportunity as we move forward. Yeah. So that's the first thing, and we have that working, and it's working in a rudimentary fashion, but it works. We in Zoom have the capacity, and other platforms have it as well, to take the transcript out of each meeting. Okay, so every sales meeting within Zoom can be transcribed. Also, Zoom has a piece of text so that if you're meeting someone in an office or somewhere, and you just ask them, right, do you mind if I do this? Can I record the conversation from a transcript perspective? Zoom does that as well, yeah, right? So within the app, you can press a button and it transcribes it. Now, we're not using this yet, but I've been in conversation with some senior people within Zoom. Zoom has just launched a new set of products that does all of this, that does what I'm suggesting here, but it does it pretty much automatically. It does a variety of things, yeah. What I had a problem with when I was managing salespeople, and I had a client who had 6 salespeople, and they were doing all of the sales on Zoom, but and they would record the conversations, but of course you have to listen to them. You can't analyze them, and even if you transcribe them, it takes too long to read it and interpret it. And it was really a problem. And I knew they were pitching too much, and occasionally I'd listen. I have to sit for 30 minutes listening. How many of those can you do, right? And then you have to give the input and the feedback. So that's another half an hour of back and forwards. And then, so it wasn't constructive, right? So there's a way to do this. Every meeting becomes a coaching moment. Yeah. So what we've done is created 6 rubrics. A rubric is a structure that you assess something against, yeah, right? What is best practice? Yeah. So we look at intra-meetings. We look at there's a second type of intra-meeting. So you've got an intra-meeting with a new prospect, an intra-meeting that they might not have a need for anything at the moment. Yeah. So there's a latent sort of need there. You've got a discovery meeting, a proposal meeting, a client review meeting, and a coaching meeting. Yeah. So that's the manager coaching the salesperson on how effective they are. So what we do is we pull all these meetings out of Zoom, yeah, right? And so let me just pull this up here. So we transcribe from Zoom, we sort the meeting type, it gets sorted automatically, it gets scored against a rubric, AI builds a plan, that salesperson then gets feedback on how the meeting went. Yeah. So how did it go? Did you do a good job? Were you active listening? Yeah, right. Did you do what good looks like in the intra-meeting? And obviously there's exceptions to every meeting. Sometimes it's just a disaster and there's nothing you can do about it. But what we're able to do now is we're able to give the AI is able to analyze the meetings and look at patterns over a period of a week, a month, and then the AI says, Richard, you need to go and read a piece of content in this topic, yeah, right, and buff up in it. Or you need to do a module in the LMS system, the learning management system. Or Richard, and this is the really cool thing, I really would love it if you could all try this as well, right? Because we're going through a proof of Scott. It's a Scottish company we're doing it with as well, which is really exciting. Yeah, so based in Edinburgh, the leading avatar company in the world, but from Scotland. And they've built a tool that is an avatar with expressions and feelings and emotions. Well, not feelings, but it shows feelings that can do coaching. And then finally, one-to-one coaching. Yeah. So if it's not getting fixed by these 3 methodologies, then the manager steps in and does a series of coaching with them to help them improve these areas. And every meeting is analyzed like this. So over a period of time, we're looking for patterns, we're looking for things that are working, not working, we're looking for the improvements. And Richard's able to reflect and go, yeah, I messed that up. Yeah, that's not so good. It's not an issue of checking, yeah, right? It's not an issue of using it as a tool to force a behavior. It's about using the tool to help do the job more effectively. Now, here's the critical point. Not all sales methodologies are good, right? We know this, right? I was doing some work for a client, last year, and they'd asked me to do some training, and they wanted me to teach closing skills. Yeah. Now, my view is you shouldn't need to close anything; it should close itself naturally. But there's still a lot of people, and the science shows that the more you're trained in closing skills, the less deals you close. Yeah. So for me, it's about building relationships, about building trust. People will buy from you if they understand what they're doing and they understand what they're trying to achieve and what you do makes sense, and they have the bandwidth and the financial capacity to do it. They'll buy from you. Yeah. So you maybe can't see this on the left here because I'm hiding it. Sorry, but but AI is allowing us to do this. I can coach in a way it would have taken me 3 employees to do it, right? So I wouldn't do it before. Now I'm able to do it as a small business. It's really interesting. If you've got questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. So I don't know about you guys, but I like to write. I'm going to give you some advice here. You have to write yourself, yeah, right? Do not use AI to do the writing if you can avoid it. I mean, if you can, it's better to do it than to do nothing, but you should write. And there's a couple of benefits of writing as a thing, yeah. If you write, it defines you and defines what you're thinking and defines your idea, right? I cannot stress this enough. For some reason, and I left school when I was 16, and I got a C in my English O level, but I like writing, I enjoy writing, right? And I like to write technically about the stuff that is going on in our world, yeah, right? And so I just wrote an article on hunters versus farmers and why it's a dead concept and that there's a new paradigm coming. And so, but what I'm able to do is I'm able to, obviously, because I left school at 16 and my grammar is is well dodgy, I'm able to get AI to write it. The problem with ChatGPT and Gemini and all of these platforms is it does a wonderful job of it, but it becomes AI. It's not Fraser Morrison anymore. So Claude allows us to pull content. So Claude is a thing called projects. It's really interesting. And you can take every piece of content you've written ever, and you can put it into a folder. And then when you ask Claude to edit a piece of content you've written, you get it to edit it in the tone of how you've written in the past. Yeah? So now, first cut, without any edits, it's doing a really fantastic job, yeah, right, of taking my content, keeping it me, but grammatically getting it right, and then adding a bit of flavor in there that I'm missing or structurally I've not got right. So usually what I'm doing is but I'm getting it to edit it, and then I'm saying critique this. Yeah, where I'm trying to put this message across. Where's it going wrong? And then I'll say do this. I'll say do it, and then it'll 2AI it. Yeah, it'll spoil it. So then I get it to bring it back and explain what it's done wrong, and then it fine tunes it again back where it was, and then we try again. Yeah, so you can. That's Claude's beautiful like that. Claude does this, and it's as you can see here. Instead of taking a day to write a really nice piece of content, and I may be spending 2 hours to write 1,000, 1,500 words, and then I'm giving it there, and that basis, yeah. We're also able to do the same with, I think I've got a slide on proposal meetings, yeah. So proposal meetings, again, proposals were horrendous, yeah. Doing a proposal was a nightmare. Now what I'm able to do is take the transcripts from the discovery meeting, take the transcripts from the introductory meeting. Within Claude, I've built templates of how I want proposals to look. I've got all our product offerings in there. I've mapped out example. I've got like 15 example proposals from before, and then I give it a set of instructions that are very clearly laid out in a framework. And then in the actual text body of the Claude query, I import the transcription, of the both of them. I import the information of the company. I import a whole set of information on the various profiles from a LinkedIn perspective, and then I get Claude to write the proposal based on that. And again, it does an absolutely wonderful job, and work that would take a day is 30 minutes. Yeah. And to be honest with you, it's much better than what I would do. The clients really like it. And I'm very candid with people. I explain to them how it's happened and how we do it. But it's because it's on point and it's accurate. People like it, right? And it's good to be honest, as you know. Yeah. So, and of course I review it and I check it and I make sure it's right. And then once I've done an edit on it and I'm happy with it, I put that into the repository, and the next time it learns from that and readjusts and makes it better. Yeah. So it's learning all the time to become better. And so I want to come back to this philosophy in sales. We want to be the doctor, not the dealer, right? So we don't want to be transactional. We want to be part of our clients' lives as we move forward. To do that, we have to be authentic. We have to, they need to deal with us. They need to be interacting with us. So AI augmented selling doesn't mean colder. Done properly, what it finally does is gives us the time to be to do the job properly, to be a doctor that's doing a good job, right? You know how you get doctors that prescribe, and then you've got doctors who really understand you and understand your world, and you always go back to them because you trust them, right? That's what we want to be in our businesses. We want to be the trusted partner and the trusted relationship. So, finally, technology doesn't replace discipline. Okay, so technology, this is what we're seeing very clearly, right? Technology is not replacing, it's allowing us to be more effective here, right? It's allowing us to do our jobs betterly and to do more of it, yeah, right? And that creates scale. So it's actually accelerating businesses if it's done properly, yeah. One of my clients, and I always come back to this, it's my most successful client. We helped them grow by $5 billion from 2.5 to 7 billion. So almost 4.5 billion increase in revenue. And I know that's stupid, but what we did for them is what we as small business owners should be doing for our businesses. We mapped the databases, we mapped the people, and we nurtured relationships. Now with technology, we would be able to do a far better job of it. But what made them special, right? And I really want to come back to this point, is why did clients love them? Was they did a great job. They were very, very people-centric, yeah, right? They were more expensive, but they always delivered on time. And, when you're talking about $1 billion for a project, 3 months late, 6 months late is a nightmare, right? There's so many implications to that. But they delivered on time because people were well-trained, they were autonomous, they rewarded the quality and the volume of, everything they did was not about discounts. It wasn't about doing. It was all about doing the job properly. That was what they are still known for this day. Yeah. So more expensive, and in $1 billion, 100 million extra is horrific. Yeah, right. You can imagine the negotiations with Amazon or Kellogg's or these organizations. But at the end of the day, AI allows us to do these bits really beautifully, right? Because it gives us the bandwidth, it gives us the authenticity. And at the end of the day, the clients want value. They want it to be correct. They want it to be accurate. So how do you transform your business? Okay. Look, this is more for larger organizations, but it does fit in our world. You first of all have to do a proper assessment of what you've got. What's happening in your process? What's happening in your sales? What's happening in BD? What's happening in lead gen? I think if you put any organization puts a structure in based on poor process, and they put AI in, it's going to make it easier to have an even more poor process, right? So assess what you've got, engage the stakeholders properly, build a 1-year implementation plan, execute in stages. Agile is the only way to move forward because it's changing so quickly. And then always come back to culture. What's your culture? AI is not about replacing people. It's not about bidding them. It's about doing what you do better and doing more of it. You're right, and being better for your clients. You're right. I'm able to half the volume of work my team does. Okay, we have 50 people managing accounts around the world. They can now do it in half the time that they were doing it before. We've taken the time, that extra time, that they've got in a day and said, right, how do we do a better job for clients? How do we get more leads? How do we get more traffic? How do we help them? How do we look at the detail? And so the team there's a quarter of the day they spend looking from a innovation perspective on each client, right? What could they be doing? What could be better? How do I support them? What things can we do as a team? A part of the day spent developing in skills every day, and then a part of it is content, writing posts, being, so we're creating, because of the extra time, we're more profitable, doing a better job, and more sustainable, and our teams are happier. Yeah, that's the plan. Yeah. But the start point is assessment. You've got to assess it. And my view is, from a sales point of view, it needs to be an independent assessment. I think you need to have an understanding of technology. You need to have an understanding of what process is. You need to understand all of the components of the process. So a lot of us in organizations have bits, but you need it all, right? And then once you've done the assessment and you've engaged the stakeholders, then you can build a plan. And then the execution of the plan can be done internally if you want, right? But the actual initial piece should be done by an external organization. And I know this sounds like a pitch, but we've built a product that it's not a pitch. So we've built a product that does an assessment. It's completely free. It's a survey. You can do the survey, and you'll get a report back. You can come and have a chat with me, and we've got a second piece that we'll do, where we'll do an hour consulting with you for free. And then give you advice. Again, there's no obligation there. And then we have clients that will pay us to run workshops and stuff like that. But these first two bits are free, and we are, particularly the assessment. It's 25 questions. It takes 10 minutes to do, and it really gets you to think about what you are doing and how you're doing it. I think there's a QR code there for it. Yeah. So if you want to do it, you can go to that. Don't do it just now, but take a picture of the QR code, and you can go back and do it and fill it out. And if you've got any questions, you come back to me. A couple of ways you can come back to me. You can send me a message on LinkedIn and say, I like that. How would I do this? And I'll just dictate some notes into LinkedIn. So you don't need to meet us here, right, and have a conversation. But there is a way now of assessing what you've got and what you're doing that allows you, the report you get back is really cool, and it will allow you to have some thoughts around it and make some transformation. So selling is always going to change. Yeah. It was never if. Yeah, it was broken. It's been broken for a long time. Yeah. So the question is whether you use this time, this moment now, to build something better, or wait for someone else to do it in another organization that's competing with you, or you wait and once we get to this late adopter piece, you'll be able to do that. So I hope that's been helpful. I'm really happy to share some examples in real life and show you some stuff that we're doing. Before I do that, I do want to say one thing. Yeah, I love the chamber. Right? I'm a member of the chamber in Singapore. I'm a member of, obviously, the chamber with you guys. Yeah, right. We'll join the chamber in Aberdeen. We'll be a member in Aberdeen, which where I come from. We've now got someone there working for us in Aberdeen. What I like about the chamber, right, and the most important thing is the peer network, where you're able to meet people to get advice. And Nicole and I were just talking about it just now. And so scan here to join the chamber if you're not a member of the chamber. But Nicole and I were talking about it, that some of the most important decisions that helped us grow, and we're 60 people now and we're in 7 countries. And it absolutely has come from places like the chamber and other organizations similar that we're part of, that where someone said, look, you need to do this, it's not working. And that's allowed us to go to the next step. Even this technology here that I'm going through with you here, 9 months ago, I wasn't doing this. And then I was at an event and someone said, look, this is how you do it. And I was like, really? I can do that? And then I went and tried it, and then I slowly eased into it. And we have a couple of people in the teams now that are experts as well that help building stuff. Yeah. It's very doable in small businesses if it's done properly. So Nicole, do you want to add anything to the slide?
No, I think you covered it pretty well, Fraser. But yeah, that's really what Chambers there is, to be that conduit for businesses to connect together and be that one source that we can signpost you to the relevant people like yourself, Fraser, that can support businesses going forward. But yeah, definitely that relationship piece and the peer-to-peer learning is really important, and we do really encourage that conversation to be happening outside of the sales conversations. I think it's really important to have that piece as well.